Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, friends, and the mercy of Allah and His blessings. This will be part 7 of Word to Word, a comparative study of the Bible and the Quran. Number 7. The Bible is reconstructed from lost originals. The Quran has been preserved in its original form. The original text of every part of the Bible has been lost. Much of biblical research is concerned with restoring text as closely as possible to the original autographs, establishing the most original or most authoritative text, and attempting to trace the development of the oral traditions that preceded written texts. You may hear some rumbling. Apparently, there's a thunderstorm, so uh, we might get cut off, but you know, Allah is the best planner. These attempts to find original text, restore text, and trace oral traditions are based on the fact that the originals, whether oral or written, have been lost. The importance of finding the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947 is that these 2,000-year-old documents contain some of the oldest written texts available of materials which are centuries older, each such as the book of Isaiah. Even in the case of the New Testament, documents written during a well-recorded historical period at the height of imperial Rome. The original documents written in Greek have been lost. And this is a quote from one of my sources, uh, Marshall, somebody or other. Excuse me, I'm sorry about this. Marshall. Marshall, where are you? Well, um, the text of the Greek New Testament has come down to us in various manuscripts. The study of the various manuscript copies and the assessment of their individual value and attempting to reconstruct the original as nearly as possible constitutes the science of textual criticism. Okay, and this is from a book by someone named Marshall, Introduction, page 5. And it should be in the bibliography, but I don't see it here. Um, so, Allah willing, um, maybe I can find it online. Nope, don't see it online either. Um, well, hopefully we'll get it together. Sorry about that. The original text of the entire Quran has been preserved. The Quran has been preserved both in its written form and by oral tradition, literal memorization, in fact. Less than one generation after the death of Prophet Muhammad, an official copy of the Quran was assembled in consultation with those who had learned the Quran by memory from the Prophet himself, and based on the written copy left by one of the Prophet's scribes, no change was made. The Quran was passed on as the Prophet had given it. Further copies of the official copy were made and distributed throughout the Muslim state. Arabia, what is now Iran, Palestine, Egypt, and all other copies were burned. That really bothers me, but they were trying to make sure there were no deviations. They burned all the other copies. In fact, I have read elsewhere that there was one man, I think his name was Mas'ud, who refused to give up his copy. And a part of the text of his copy was quoted in the source, and it's obviously a mistake. I mean, the part that's quoted is obviously a mistake. It's consistent with the other parts of the Quran. But, if you do this research, you should find it yourself. You could look it up on, I think it's Quran.com, or you can look it up on Wikipedia. But at any rate, every Quran in the world today is a copy of the Quran dictated by the Prophet to his scribes 14 centuries ago. One of those scribes is known as Zayd ibn Thabit, Zayd, the son of Thabit. So, these are people we know. We have some biographical information of them. And they are better known than the people said to have written the Gospels. Biographical information. So every Quran in the world today is a copy of the Quran dictated by the Prophet to his scribes 14 centuries ago and double-checked by those who had memorized it. One of the official copies distributed almost 14 centuries ago is preserved in a museum in Istanbul. Another is in Tashkent. I have read that the one in Tashkent is not complete. It's a partial. Somehow, some of it has been lost. But the one in Istanbul, Topkapi, I think that's the name of the museum. Topkapi, Topkapi Museum in Istanbul. Last I checked, there's a complete copy of the Quran in that museum, of the copy that was written down 14 centuries ago. I'm irritated with Muslims in general that all of these various copies that were made, only one or two of them seem to be in existence. I'm saying, well, what happened? This is something precious. How were they lost? But Allah knows. But, in the last few days, for some reason, I've been reflecting on the word jive. Jive. It's a word that's popular in jazz and among African Americans. There's a video, fantastic video, Cab Calloway singing jive. I mean, jive, 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 jive. I mean, over and over and over again. Fantastic video. He was a fantastic performer, and the band is behind him. And but in the Quran, Satan is referred to as Al-Gharur, the deceiver. And we know that this is the characteristic of Satan, to deceive people. And jive is about deception. That's exactly what it means. It's no big interpretation. Jive is falsehood, deception. And one of the problems, this is a huge problem in the world today. If I say I believe something, and someone says to me, oh, that's your religion. You know what gaslighting is? Well, that's gaslighting. If you disagree with me, just say you disagree with me, okay? We have people, almost 3 billion people, or maybe more, who claim that they believe that the creator of the entire vastness of the cosmos has a son. Well, I disagree with that, and that's what it is, a disagreement. I do not believe that the creator has a son. I do not believe that the creator is biologically male in some sense. The Arabic language only has 2 pronouns, so One of them, it's either he or she, and in the nature of the Arabic language, saying she would be uh, specific. Generally speaking, we say he, huwa, in Arabic. That's just a general reference. Excuse me. But the Quran, in the Quran, Allah, the Creator, is not referred to as He as a biological referent. There is no it in Arabic, so everything has to be called either huwa or hiya, he or she. In English, we have it. So all of the vast trillions upon trillions of events and entities in the cosmos referred to as it. Well, there's no it in Arabic, so everything has to be referred to as either huwa or hiya. So, people who believe that the creator is some type of a biological male or female, um, well, we disagree. You can't have things that contradict each other being true. Okay. So one of them is true and one of them is not true. Or maybe both of them are not true. We have people about atheists, as they call themselves atheists, who would say, well, this being does not exist. Okay. That's another argument that we can have. So anyway, but the whole concept of jive is that, it doesn't sound bad, does it? I mean, it's fun. So we have a whole world. I don't know what it's like in other societies, but in American society, and particularly among African Americans, I mean, just jiving, is like it's fun and games. We need to know what is true and distinguish it from what is not true. It's important. It is beyond life and death. It is absolutely essential. And when we disagree, we need to discuss it. We need to learn how to do that. That's a skill when you disagree, to learn how to discuss what we disagree on. So I may come back to that, the whole concept of jive. Uh, but one of the reasons it's important in this context is because we have these books, the Bible, the Quran, and we have the people who brought those books into the world or give them to us. Uh, and the question is, are they valid? Okay, are they valid? There are, of course, it's impossible to be a Christian without believing that Muhammad was wrong in one way or another. Um, was he jiving? That's what I'm saying. If you believe that, then let's this a challenge in the Quran. Let's sit down and discuss these things, right? Um, that's the challenge. Let's sit down and discuss these things. So, Allah willing, we will have more. Uh, I say number 8. The next is there are several versions of the Bible. There is one version of the Quran. Okay, that's our next subject. So, Allah willing, we'll get to that hopefully by tomorrow. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.